It is Friday, October 24th, 2025. We are entering week number 9 of the 2025 college football season that seems to be flying by. But we're back with another Take 10 for the first time in 2 weeks. We have a Take 10 first time in 3 weeks. We have one on the actual show itself. Excited to get into that. I think we got 10 really good picks, trying to build forward and try to close out a good year, really, or try to close out the year on a good note. We are well below 500 right now. It's not been a great start, but we're trying to push forward. I think we can get the job done with a really good week this week. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. Hope y'all have a fantastic rest of your day, rest of your weekend. If you're new around here, leave a like, subscribe. We just hit 200 subscribers. We're pushing now for 250, 300 even. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. It's free. It just helps us out, helps these videos get viewed a little bit more. With that said, let's go ahead and get into today's videos. And I want to start today's topics. I want to start today by talking about last night's game, South Alabama and Georgia State. The Jaguars of South Alabama get their first Sun Belt win of the season, taking down Georgia State by a score of 38-31. Really felt like they were in control of this game for the majority of it. They felt like the better team the whole way through. Georgia State made it tough, hung around at home, as we kind of expected they would. These two teams have been very underwhelming this year. But a big win for, again, South Alabama. They, again, 38-31 victory on the road. Moving on, I want to talk about some things going into this weekend. Injury report. We've taken a little bit of a deeper dive, and there's some big names that are going to be missing this weekend or expected to miss this weekend. It starts with Texas Tech. Will Hammond is expected to start this game against Oklahoma State this weekend. Baron Morton is available in an emergency situation, should anything happen to Will Hammond, but it is going to be Will Hammond's show this weekend for Texas Tech. Now, where this is a good thing is Baron Morton's been injured kind of throughout the year. Will Hammond has had plenty of time to start, had plenty of time on the field this year. Has been really good, looks solid. If he can take care of the ball, I don't really see a threat with this Oklahoma State team. But I do think that this Texas Tech team is looking to score a lot of points, looking to cover. They got a 34, 35 point favorite in this game. They're looking to just go out, take care of business, bounce back after their loss last week, and get back on the right track. Texas Tech, again, starting Will Hammond. Justice Haynes, the Michigan running back, game time decision against Michigan State, and that's a bit of a big deal. Evan Link has announced that he will miss a few games at a minimum over the next few weeks with his injury that he suffered last week. But Justice Haynes was kind of non-existent over the last couple of weeks, has really suffered a little bit. A game time decision Saturday night against Michigan State on the road. This looks like a tough game. Looks like a game that I think a lot of people are a little bit afraid of. Having him in the lineup would certainly be a big benefit, would serve a lot of benefit to this Michigan program. Let's say it that way. LSU is going to be missing Whit Weeks this weekend against Texas A&M. I think that's a big loss for this LSU defense. They've created a lot of pressure this year, done really good at drawing up a lot of blitzes. Blake Baker's done a really good job. What I think it's going to hurt, though, is just that leadership at the linebacker position. Of course, they really follow Whit Weeks as a player, as a leader. We'll see what this team's able to do. I have Texas A&M as a favorite. I think they're going to win this game. And this certainly doesn't help that opinion. So Texas A&M, I think, gets the job done this weekend. We'll talk a little more about that game tomorrow live on our Saturday morning show, 10 a.m. Eastern time, by the way, if you're new around here. Robbie Ashford going to be questionable against Southern Methodist SMU this weekend, and that's a big deal. I think with Robbie Ashford, this Wake Forest team might be able to get the job done. This game being played in Winston-Salem. It's a home game. It's an opportunity for an upset, and this SMU team hasn't really looked all that impressive this year. Would be a really big win. Could be a season-defining win for this Wake Forest team if they're able to get the job done. And I think a lot of that again relies on a guy like Robbie Ashford playing, being a part of this game. So excited to see what happens here as you see the dog back there playing. Excited for Robbie Ashford though this weekend. If he's able to play again, it has a chance to be again a season-defining win for Wake Forest. Want to talk about some recruiting real quick. I saw some news that five-star quarterback Jared Curtis is taking a visit to Vanderbilt. He's taken a few visits to Vanderbilt recently. He's going to be there for this game against Missouri. And it got me thinking. Jared Curtis has been committed to Georgia for a while. He committed actually live on I think it was on YouTube at the time, on CBS Sports YouTube. But Jared Curtis committed to Georgia. Vandy's making a big push, and look, it's Vandy, of course. Like everybody's going to sit back and say this, but think about how good this team's become over the last couple of seasons, right? Clark Lee's done a great job, and he's expected to be a pretty highly sought after coach, I think, over this upcoming carousel. But yet he's still making a huge push for a guy like Jared Curtis. Like they are really going after him as a potential player, pushing for him to be next year's starter if he's able to commit to this team. I think that's a big deal, and I think it really is under talked about how hard they're pushing here. Do I think he's going to decommit from Georgia and go to Vanderbilt? No, really, and that's kind of laying on the fact that one, I don't know anything about him. Two, in terms of I don't know him. I don't have communication. I don't plan to. What I think here is it's a valiant effort for Vandy saying, hey, look, we are going to be a player. We're going to do everything we can to get the best players in this program. And it's commendable. I mean, this is a program that was rock bottom of the SEC for decades. I mean, look, this team hasn't been in the top 10 since the 1940s. They are ranked in the top 10 right now. It is unbelievable to think about where Vandy is versus what we would have thought of them 5 years ago. I don't think anybody predicted Vandy being a top 10 team. I said that Clark Lea was doing a great job. I thought they might be back in top 25. They've been back in top 25 before. As a matter of fact, what was it? Back in 2013, they entered the season in the preseason poll, and that was the last time they did that. This team has really turned things around. This program's really turned things around, and Nashville has a lot of money behind it, and I think if they put some of it towards this school, Vandy could be a legitimate contender. And also relies on academic standards and things like that, but this team could become a little bit more of a contender than they have been in recent history, or really any history. They're making a push for Jared Curtis again, 5-star quarterback. I have to say it because when have we heard Vandy in that position? Is Vandy truly a player in this recruitment? Let's just cut to the facts here. Are they truly a player? I think they are a player. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think when you compare Georgia, Vandy, who do you expect to be around for longer? Kirby Smart, we expect to be at Georgia for longer. We kind of expect Clark Lea to take that next step of within his career to maybe step forward to a bigger name program. Should that happen, then it's kind of tough to say where Vandy goes from there. But here's what I will say. If, and hear that very specifically, if Vandy's able to do this, what does that say about this program? Does it say that they are an NIL player? Does it say that they are kind of throwing their academics aside to be a legit contender in something other than baseball? Does it say that Vandy is going to make a push to be maybe a top 10 recruiting class and maybe bring in more players around Jared Curtis? We've watched Indiana kind of do what they're doing right now, and they're doing it with a lot less talent. Vandy's doing what they're doing with less talent too. They're very similar to this Indiana program and how they're doing things. It's by good coaching, by really solid play calling, just smart football. But what if Vandy takes that next step and says, "Hey, look, we're gonna play in recruiting with a good coaching staff already in place"? How legit can Vandy be? Can they be a perennial playoff team or a perennial playoff contender? Sights unseen, we don't know. Can't predict the future, but it certainly makes them more of an enticing program. Makes them more likely to be in that position year in and year out than even probably, I'd say maybe half of other SEC programs. It's an interesting prospect to look at. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. I heavily believe that it will not happen, but should this be legit? Should there be something here? Should this happen? I think we need to give Vandy a little bit more credit and staying power within this national landscape of college football. Interesting food for thought as we head into the weekend. I just thought it was interesting. Caught wind of it, and Really wanted to talk about what that could mean because we've never seen Vandy in the history of rankings being a contention for somebody so potentially prolific to their offense and to this team as a 5-star quarterback. Worth the time, worth the thought. Let me know what you guys think about this Vandy team and their program going forward. Do they have a shot? Let me know what you think. With that said, let's go ahead and get our take 10. I'm going to give you guys some teams. Better yet, let me do it now. 2 teams that I think are on upset alert this weekend. I'm not betting on them. They're not a part of the take 10, but they're 2 teams that I might take a little money line number here on the underdog. Arizona State is a 7.5 point favorite against Houston. I like Houston to win this game. It was just announced the other day Jordan Tyson's going to be out this weekend. That's a big loss for Arizona State offensively. We saw the ASU offense sputter a little bit after he kind of fell below that 100% mark. We saw them slow down. They were up 19, or they had 19 points on the board. Were dominating Texas Tech. Momentum kind of stalled for them. It could be noted that I think Houston would be a legit player here to win this game. I like Houston. I might sprinkle a little on that money line later on in the week. Maybe tomorrow, midday. USF is a 5.5 point favorite against Memphis on the road at Memphis. I'm going to tell you right now that this is solely dependent upon Brendan Lewis and whether he plays or not. He's listed as a day-to-day game time decision more than likely. If Brendan Lewis plays and is close to 100%, I really like Memphis to win this game. USF's played really well. They played great football all year long. They have a win over Florida. Who can say they have that on their resume? But Memphis, prior to last week, prior to Brendan Lewis' injury, was undefeated. Played a great game against UAB, or they played well against UAB, but UAB just played better, a little more inspired with the new head coach last week. Could it have been looking ahead to this USF game? Possibly. I mean, this is for a potential playoff spot. This is for a chance to play for a conference title, potentially, this year. USF's unbeaten in conference play. Memphis just took that one loss last week. They want to win this game. Navy has been a legit contender all year long. You have Tulane, who's still a contender. I mean, there's plenty of teams in this conference who are still in contention to make the conference title game. This is a big game for Memphis this weekend. I think the momentum, the energy around this program, around this place is going to be probably some of the highest you'll see for a Memphis football game. I like Memphis to maybe get the upset here, especially with Brendan Lewis playing. Those are just two picks I have there going into this week. But now let's talk about Take 10 real quick. And we are 29-41 on the season. It's not been good. It's been bad. We've had some really bad weeks. We didn't do a Take 10 last week. And as a matter of fact, we only had 7 the week before. I didn't get all 10 bets in before week 8. Or before week 7. So this week we start off trying to go strong here. We are really pushing for a good week. And I like a lot of the numbers I see here. So let's go ahead and get started. UCLA and Indiana. I like the over 53.5. I think UCLA is going to put some points on the board. Nico Iamaleava is expected to play this weekend. Had a bit of a knee injury last weekend. Again, expected to play. I think that's going to help UCLA put a few points on the board. I think Indiana's going to score a good amount, probably up into the 30s, 40s. Over 53.5 to me seems like it's a no-brainer. Old Dominion, minus 13.5 against Appalachian State. Look, Old Dominion's dominated everybody they played, minus that JMU game. I think they're looking to get back on track. They're back in Norfolk this weekend. I think they'll win this one over the Mountaineers. UConn, minus 10.5 against Rice. UConn, Joe Fagiano has been fantastic so far this year. Really love what we've seen out of this UConn team. They are probably one of the biggest surprises out of the non-power conference teams. They're 10.5 point favorites against Rice. I think they're going to cover that 10.5 even down in Houston. Pitt's getting 6.5 against NC State. This Pitt team, I think, is really good. They made a quarterback change, and they're not looking back, and it's been really beneficial to them. NC State has not really played well enough, I think, offensively to be able to hang around with this Pitt team if they play at their best. Pitt, minus 6.5. Southern Miss, minus 13.5 against UL Monroe. Love what UL Monroe's done this year. They've been surprising, I guess. I thought they'd be a little better. I shouldn't say I love what they've done, but I thought they'd be a little better. but they're still playing decent football. But Southern Miss has been really good, and it's led by Braylon Braxton. He is one of the best quarterbacks in this conference. 13.5 doesn't feel like enough to me. I think Southern Miss really controls and owns this game. Alabama's going on the road to South Carolina this weekend with what I think is the best quarterback in the country right at the moment. Ty Simpson has been fantastic, and I think they're going to go in and dominate this game out in Williams-Brice Stadium. Last week didn't look good. Oklahoma's offense was pretty simplistic, and South Carolina couldn't slow it down. Couldn't move the ball offensively either really well. I think we're going to see a very similar showing this week, but Alabama could push the ball downfield. Got 2 star wide receivers, Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams. I think the 11.5 is an outrageously low number. Alabama covers. Baylor, Cincinnati, 67.5 feels like a lot. These two teams have played some very good tight ball games that have ended in the 20s. I don't really see this game either team getting out of the 20s in this one. If one does, they win this game. This game being played in Nippert, it just feels like it's going to be a defensive battle between these two. Under 67.5 feels right to me. Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, over 54.5. Look, I think Texas Tech's still going to score a lot of points. I think Oklahoma State's going to find some ways to score as well. I just think Texas Tech dominates this game. They're that much better than Oklahoma State. They've really kicked everybody's ass that they're better than. Don't see any reason they won't do it here. Bowling Green, minus 7.5 against Kent State. I really like what Drew Pine's done as a starting quarterback for Bowling Green. They've played a good brand of football so far this year. I think Bowling Green, again, minus 7.5. I like that number against Kent. Illinois, Washington. I like the under 54.5. Look, Washington has not really played well offensively against teams that have a good defense. Illinois has a good defense. I think that Illinois themselves has struggled at times. They're going to struggle with this road environment. I like if anybody gets out of the teens in this game to win it. So with that said, I like under 54.5. So with all that said, that'll conclude our show today. Thank you all so much for tuning in again. Hopefully y'all enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe. If you are new, we just hit 200. We're looking to push above. We're looking to go for 300. So I appreciate you guys so much for all the support this season. It's been crazy. We've gained over 140 subscribers since this rebrand and reset. And this channel's existed for 3 years, but this is by far the best year we've ever had. And really just looking to continue to push forward, continuing to cover college football year round. So appreciate y'all so much for that. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Again, enjoy the weekend. If you hit a game, be safe. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, though, if you're not going to be attending any games. We're live 10 a.m. Saturdays and Sundays. 10 a.m. tomorrow, we're going to be here with a game preview, or just a Saturday preview. We'll talk about some of the games that are going on tonight. Along with talking about all the action that we're going to see on Saturday, we'll go back over this Take 10. And then Sunday, we'll be here recapping everything. We talk about everybody as well. So we go through every single game. We talk about it at least to a point of maybe even picking the game. And then we move on. So hopefully y'all will be here for that. And if so, thank you. If not, we'll see you guys on Monday. We'll be back Monday with kind of a weekend recap. We'll take a look at our new top 25 that we'll have out by then. We'll take a look at who we think the Heisman frontrunners are. We'll take another look at that as we go into the month of November. And what we'll also do on Tuesday, coming up just a little bit further ahead, we're going to be taking a look. I'm going to try to predict what I think the college football playoff rankings should look like going forward. So that'll be a little bit of an interesting twist to what we're doing here. So thank y'all so much. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you guys tomorrow again live, 10 a.m. here on Armchair Analysis.